This is a reading for Daniel by Guy Stephen Needler on the 2nd of August 2014. So before I start, I'll just ask you a few questions and then I can see how we're going to pitch it. Have you had any readings before at all, Daniel?
I've had no is the short answer. It's not been so straightforward in the past.
Okay.
I've gone to a medium before and she's not been able to pick up anything.
Okay.
The only thing similar to this is I'm not sure if you're familiar with the grid working boards and maybe an individual named Gar Bostic in particular.
Oh, Gar. Yeah, I know Gar very well, yeah.
I had a session with him which wasn't really a reading of any sort, but more of maybe some sort of regression session. But that's closest to something like this I've actually done before.
Okay. Right. Well, it's a mixture of sort of what you'd expect from a reading and some additional bits and pieces that I use as part of my work. I'll explain that a bit to you as well, because it's a piece of common piece of information I like to give everybody, and then we can go into any direction you want to, including the questions I've got in front of me here right now. What I do, first of all, I get a name for your main guide.
Awesome.
And an image for your main guide, so you know what it looks like.
Awesome.
Because they can have human images, they can have all sorts of different form factors as well, but there we are. Then I find out how many times you've worked with that guide and whether you've incarnated together or whether you have swapped roles at any time.
Right.
It's not common, this, but it's worthwhile finding out because it's something that's one or two of my clients have asked in the past, so I've baked it into the overall scheme of things. Then I look at your helpers, because the guide is like a manager for a group of helpers, and they're there making sure that you're in the right place at the right time, interfacing with the right people.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed out, because I've always kind of wondered what's the difference between guide and helpers.
Oh.
I've listened to one of your readings before, and I heard the term, and that did raise a question, so I'm glad you answered that.
Yeah, basically we have a team behind us making sure that we're in the right place at the right time, speaking to the right people, experiencing the right experiences in the right way to give us our evolutionary content, our experience learning and evolving content. Poor English there, by the way, sorry. But it's something that we've all got, and there's a vast network behind us guiding everything we do, giving us intuition, little nudges, gut feelings, whispers in our ear, desires to do certain things when they want us to move and change direction. So we find out how many of those you've got and what they're currently doing for you. Then I look at how many times you've incarnated on the earth and how many times you've incarnated in the rest of the physical universe. And then I find out where in the structure of the multiverse, because we evolve through a multiversal structure, which is based on frequencies and subdimensional components and full dimensions. The subdimensional components, the full dimensions, are a completely different structure, a much higher structure than what mankind thinks of as dimensions. So basically, in my understanding, they've mixed it up with frequency bands, but that's something else to discuss later. And so we find out from that what your true energetic self, sometimes called the oversoul, sometimes called the Godhead, sometimes called the higher self, exists within this structure, and it gives us your evolutionary level basically, because we can tell where the greater you is from that. Now the information comes out in one of four ways. First way is with my eyes closed, getting information from everywhere from it, whether it's Akashic, whether it's from your higher self, whether it's from other individuals who've worked with you, whether it's from the source, whether it's from the universe, whether it's from anything about you. Do it that way. Second way is when your guide and helpers come through. They push me to one side and they come and speak to you directly. And they speak in the plural. We say this and we say that. And they sometimes have difficulty with the language, because our language is drastically inadequate in comparison to what they're used to using, so they have to choose the words well. The third way is if the source comes through. It's very rare, but if the source does come through, it's a more direct personality, and it speaks in the singular. I say this and I say that. And again, it sometimes stops a bit to work out which word is best for us to use. The fourth way is if they're both speaking at the same time. So if something happens where we say this, we say this, I say that, we say this, I say that, I say this, we say that. Then you know that they're both speaking through me at the same time. And if I don't tell you this, it's like, who's speaking to me? What's happening now? So that's what happens there. Now the last three aren't guaranteed, but if you particularly ask for your guides and helpers to come through, or the source, it will come through. It's just they only come through if it's necessary to give you something that's really important for you to think about and work on. Okay. All right. So, ready to get kicked off?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Let's have a look first. Right. It's an interesting name and also an interesting form factor. Although it's a human form factor, it's an interesting name for this form factor and how it looks. The name I've got, and I'll send it through to you, is Melantrop. Just like that. And he said you can call me Mel. Right. They're into shortened names as well as we are. It looks like a very well built, very strong, very articulate, very experienced Viking warrior. Okay, got long blonde hair, ginger moustache, great big ginger moustache and a beard. He's got like almost like the Anglo-Saxon type of wear on him, with like a sheepskin jacket, but it's not got the arms, and the fur's turned the other way around, so the fur's on the outside, and he's got this great big long stick with weights or weapons on the end that he can swing around and hit people with, and or do all sorts of stuff with. And let's find out why he's got this form. Okay, in this instance, he's saying this is the last time you were on Earth was around this period of time, and and this would have been the sort of way that you would have lived, very sort of proud, very strong, very able to defend yourself, very able to move the boundaries of your civilization forwards. And it's saying that I'm using this because it's been a long time here. We haven't been here for a long time, so I'm using this as a link back to Earth. So he's got this image of what you were in a previous existence. The name's nothing to do with it, it's something else. But he's saying, my name is what I like to use when I'm working with my incarnates, but the form is based upon what you were last time, so it's an example. And he said it's a way of linking into you, because you have this memory that you can't quite remember, but you'll know what you were when you're disincarnated again. You'll be able to go through all this stuff and understand it. He said, I'm doing this as a way of, an easy way of attaching myself to you, because when you're incarnated, it's difficult to communicate with people, and so therefore I've got this image that you'll subconsciously remember of what you were previously. Okay, let me ask the question of how many times you've worked together. Well, straight away, 594 times. So it's quite a good relationship. We tend to use guides through our sort of evolutionary level, and when we move to a certain level, one guide peels off, and we get another guide come in who's able to take us higher. And this guide's been with you 594 times. Let's see if you've incarnated together. Oh, straight away, no. Some of them do that. They say, no. I'm not the person who incarnates. I'm a guide. So let's ask a question whether you've swapped roles then. He said, just answer that question. Really, he said, basically, no. He said, I'm not incarnated at all, so there's no chance of you incarnating together, and there's no chance of you swapping roles, so to speak. Because sometimes you do swap roles, you know. It happens. Okay, let's have a look at how many helpers you've got. Right, between 24 and 29 helpers. And right now, okay, it's almost like, I've just got an image of you almost like boxed in, with a metal box all around you, a very strong metal box, all around your upper body. And they're just chiseling at it and using flame cutters and God knows what to get it off you, saying you clamp yourself down in this life to be the human being that, and the work you've done to do that has been very, very good. But it's not the time for it now. You need to be exposed to more spiritual things, more metaphysical things. So they really are working on getting rid of it, and they're just saying we understand the combination now. It's something we can work with, and they've got the next group, because they're not all working on you doing this. The next group of helpers that are going to be there to pull you out and start to get you exposed to the greater reality, so to speak. What they're saying is, if you didn't have this on, you would be so aware and awake it would be blinding.
Wow.
So they're saying they've calmed it. You know, this thing is like a lead, almost like a lead casket with lead doors, stopping you. Imagine it to be radiation proof, so to speak. It's that sort of thing. You know, really sort of belt and braces and nuclear bomb proof. So we're pulling it off now because now you don't need it so much. You're starting to. It's been leaking anyway. They've said. So you're getting bits and pieces coming in anyway. And they're saying we can work with you now because you've been exposed. You're starting to work with it and you're reacting in the right way. We know that it's not going to be a big problem, so we can start to pull these things apart and just let the light in, so to speak, slowly over the next couple of years. So they're working on that. What they have said to me is I can help out by exposing your third eye as well, which I will do later. I'll do that towards the end. Okay. Right, let's have a look at how many times you've incarnated on the earth. Right, it's 3,197. That's not a lot. It's an interesting figure. It's not. Well, I've seen like 10 times that value, or even 20 times that value, but I've seen a lot less as well. But this sort of tells me a little bit of a story. I'm just going to ask the sort of epochs that you've been incarnated in. Okay, what I'm seeing here is that from the point that we started to use the human form on Earth, you've had little batches of incarnations where you've sort of done back-to-back incarnations, and your last one finished in this period of time where we had this image of your guide's taken on board now, and this is the first one since then. So they're sort of saying, you know, we're talking about 14 to 1500 years ish between the last incarnation here and this one. Let's ask the question about your other incarnations. Oh, okay, that makes a difference. 64,922.
Wow.
That's a big number. Okay, that's a big number. And I'm going to ask now. I'm going to send you a document on this as well, by the way, Daniel. Can I call you Dan or Daniel? Which?
Yeah, either way. I mean.
Okay, Daniel. Okay. So I'm going to send you a document on explaining what the structure of the multiverse is and how it's created, because it will give you an idea. But in the physical universe, there's 12 frequencies that we can work with, and where we are right now is in the first 3 frequencies, so to speak, the visible part of it, anyway. And I'm just being told that's interesting, that you basically only incarnated in the 12th frequency, other than here. So it's like you've gone from one end to the other end, basically. You've not done some of the bits in the middle. That doesn't matter. It's just that this is the way you've done it. You know, every true energetic self projects an aspect of itself or a soul into a vehicle every now and then, and that aspect does incarnations in whichever way is possible. And this is a lot of numbers. So let's have a look. Whoa! Right, I've got a picture of the physical universe and its frequencies, which is, if you think of it like as a sphere, it's not, but it's not a bad idea to get your head around. And it's basically, I'm getting stars everywhere. So really, in the 12th frequency band, you've covered the whole of the area. So apart from one little patch where we are right now, which is contained within this other figure. So you really have done quite a good job on one frequency level, the highest of the physical universe, of experiencing quite a large area of the environments that can be presented by it. Okay. Now, just to let you know, the physical forms at these different frequency levels will be so high in frequency we wouldn't be able to see them, touch them, feel them, taste them, sense them, in any way, shape or form. So it would be, if any of those were here now, we wouldn't see them. We wouldn't even know they're here, unless you've got some higher functionalities, higher cognitive abilities, and then you'll be able to sense them being there. Yeah, that's a good figure, that is. Let's have a look at, okay. Right. So this is another good figure as well. What I'm going to explain to you now is almost like the structure of the multiverse and how it works. The multiverse is built up of frequency bands, and each group of frequency bands slots into a subdimensional component, which slots into a full dimension. So in general, there's one full dimension, splits out into 3 subdimensional components, and then there's 12 frequency bands associated with each of those. So there's 36 frequency bands per subdimensional component, per full dimension. And each of those is a universal environment in its own right. On the physical universe level, we use one full dimension that splits out into these 3 subdimensional components. Because it's so low frequency, they converge back into one again, which means that we can only have 12 full frequencies. But because it's so low in frequency here, we need all of those 12 frequencies to create a single universe. So that's why we've got those 12 frequencies, whereas everything else above that every frequency above that creates an environment in its own right, whereas we have to have 12 frequencies here to do it. It's a bit like using one memory stick as against 12 memory sticks, because there's more space, more disk space. And where you are, you're in the 4th frequency of the 1st subdimensional component of the 5th full dimension, which is getting close to the midpoint, which is very, very good. I don't tend to see many people, actually in the Western world, at these levels. They tend to be around the 3rd full dimensional level. So you're quite well evolved, or your higher self your true energetic self is quite highly evolved, which is good. Okay, I'll send you a document on that so you can have a look at it and understand that a little bit. Do you have any questions on that before we go into your questions, your main questions, and anything else?
Are there normally more than one main guide?
We have one main guide, and we have a group of helpers behind us. I'm just being told now that some people do have 2 guides, depending upon whether they're swapping over guides, for instance. So 2 guides can work together with the incarnate is swapping over a guide. Or if there's something really important happening. Or if there's more than one soul, well, I've been told to call an aspect, within one body. Because you can have more than one soul. You can have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Because they're in such short supply, some souls elect to not wait and go together, and they allow one of them to be a dominant soul, and then it works. Then they're all passive, but they're still experiencing things. Sometimes that doesn't work, and this is what we call schizophrenia, when all the souls are trying to fight each other for supremacy.
We're going to say that same word just then.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Let's have a look at these questions you've got there. Okay. What can I learn from a previous life that will assist me in this present life? Okay. In this particular instance, dear one, we will focus not on the one that you've just had, which would be in a physical vehicle of the frequency described by the channel, which would have been, if you think in terms of the spatial volume of the physical universe, would be several 100,000 galaxies away. We are going to reflect on the life that you had last here, which your guide, who is now speaking with your helpers together, we work together to tell you about the things that you can bring into this life. The one thing that you had then and that you have and can use now is loyalty and persistence. You were a very astutely loyal individual in that last life here, and you were very stoic as well. If there was a challenge, you would see the challenge through. There was no backing down or saying, "Oh, it's beyond me, it's too hard." You stuck at it, and you, like the spider in the cave, you continued to make up and down, up and down, up and down until you make the web finish. You were and still are, it's there for you, very stoic, very loyal, and very capable of continuing. You have great stamina in this respect. We say this because at the moment your existence here is causing you not cause for complaint, so to speak, but is showing little bits of dissatisfaction, and you would like to move further forwards in a way that is more in keeping with your expectations. That being, you want to see more of the reality around you, and not just the physicality that everybody exists within. You are dissatisfied with the way people work around you. You see them as being like the bees in a hive, like drones. They are asleep, they are not really interested in what is around them. They just want to be the human being. And this you find disturbing and, shall we say, frustrating as well. So we will say that this is important for you to recognize that not everybody is supposed to become aware in this particular existence, but you, with your desire to become aware slowly, have given yourself this shield, which we are helping to remove for you. And so we say, use this patience, use this stamina, this stoic deliberation of keeping going to your effect, and do not give in when things don't come as quickly as you think they should do. This loyalty you have is wondrous and will stand you in good stead with a partner. It will be something that will last, as it should do, a lifetime. And with friends and family as well, when they are of like mind, and even when they're not, you are loyal to them as well. And so you can bring this into your existence and be proud of, but not egotistically proud of, being with them in their times of success and in their times of difficulty. We feel that although in previous Earth lives you have experienced betrayal, that you have, and this is a big karmic issue with a lot of incarnates here, that you have the ability to now forgive and forget, to let it wash over your head and not cause you a problem. And so you can work, we feel, now on equal terms with those who you like and those who you wouldn't specifically like but recognise as being part of a bigger picture, and therefore even if they are supposedly your enemy, you know that they can be your friend as well, and they have all got the same thing to do as you have, which is to experience, learn and evolve. So bringing these loyalty and this persistence and this stoicism and this stamina into your life, and also slowly bringing into your life your higher functionality, for it will be called upon in the future. Okay. Okay, so I picked up a bit about that, but it sounds like there's a plan afoot for you.
Yeah.
Okay. I've just been given a nudge now that this is this. Okay. Right. I've just been shown a picture that actually they've removed this thing around you now, but what they're going to do is allow your functions to turn on slowly, so that it doesn't come bang straight into it. It'd be too distracting. So they're just allowing a gradual increase in functionality, which will happen over the next 2, 3, 5 years, as it were. One of the things I've got to do right now, I've been told, is to assist in the opening of your spiritual third eye, which means activating the pineal gland. So if you don't mind waiting just a few moments, I can do that for you. Okay. Okay. So, right, that's activated now. So what you may have felt, and it's not important if you did or didn't, a little bit of pressure around your, yeah, or even around there as well.
It's literally, it started here, but moved upwards now.
Yeah.
It's very physical sensation.
Yeah. Okay. You'll find that when you start to concentrate now, that'll start to, you'll have the same sensation now, because you won't just be using your physical eyes or your brain, you'll be using your higher functions as well. Okay, good. Okay, no, pleasure to be of service in this way. Right, next question. Unless you have any other questions, I'm going to work my way through these. So when you're in your mid to late teens, you had the moments where you experienced sleep paralysis, right? You came out of your body and saw yourself lying there. A shadow being came through my window and approached me where I lay. I believe this being was responsible for my paralysis. I rolled my eyes open and saw the creature. After a short while, I awoke lying in the position I'd see myself there. Okay. Oh, another one. Happening in your mid-20s. Right, but sleep paralysis is not understood.
Yeah, I feel to say that it's what I've understood to be the sleep paralysis. I mean, it's I couldn't move my body, and a part of me was awake, but I don't know what to call that scenario.
Yeah.
You know, so sleep paralysis was a term
Yeah.
Are you?
Psychologists will say it's sleep paralysis, where the cognitive functions of the brain are awake, but the motor neurons, or the motor parts of the brain aren't awake, and therefore the body doesn't move. The eyes are closed, the body doesn't move at all. You feel as if you're stuck in a completely inert, dense object. But in essence, what it is that you've pretty much half left the body. It's like astral travelling as such. The soul, or the aspects I'm told to call it, has moved out of the body to a certain extent, and it's either done some work, it's going to do some work, or it's on the way back from doing some work. And the recognition of self has kicked in early, or has been switched off too late, so to speak. And so what happened in your case? On the first one, your recognition of self wasn't turned off fast enough, so that you saw yourself in a normal sense, and you experienced basically astral travel, and you saw an entity on one of those frequency levels. Now, just have a look at this. Okay. The entity you saw was quite a common thing. Just being told to describe it as being, it would have been black and almost dragon in shape. It would have looked at your memory set and tried to find out what you thought was abhorrent, and would have given you an image of something that was almost reptilian, insectoid hybrid.
You are spot on. I purposely didn't describe the creature.
Yeah,
that was it.
So it's that sort of thing. And what it was basically a low frequency astral entity, which is outside of our visual range, but nevertheless quite close to our physical visual range, about the fourth and fifth frequency. And it's basically just stray energy that's either been given a little level of intelligence by some people, either by accident or by design, or it's energy which has just gradually created its own intelligence and a very minor level of sentience. They can't generate their own energy, so they have to find somebody who is weak to latch onto them, and they take their energy from them, and they give them a feeling of power, a little bit, or coerciveness. They're able to coerce people, and so there's a little bit of a symbiotic relationship set up there. It wouldn't have linked in with you because you're naturally too high of a frequency. It would have tried to, but just gone straight through you. So it's even with the physical form, it wouldn't have been able to have attached onto you. But what you saw, these things just go hunting. They rummage around and find out who's there. It's quite interesting to see them. But that's that one. And the other one. The other one was it wasn't a helper or a guide as such, but it was one of those entities that works with the structure of the multiverse and helps with different things and rearranges things. The word angel is probably the wrong word these days, but I would have called it a higher status elemental. Yeah, they're a similar. Well, but they are a similar, if not the same quality of energy as what we are when we're disincarnate. But they work for the benefit of us who incarnate. They maintain the structure of things. They maintain the evolutionary integrity. And every now and then they come down. They get close to the incarnate levels, or they sometimes do incarnate for a few moments, or create a density which is equal to it, just to experience what they've done. This particular individual, actually, I'm being told, was working with your guide and helpers to try and maintain the area that you were in as a higher frequency for you. It would have looked, it would have looked as a very, how can I describe it? A very bright, whitey, golden lighted type of female form with sort of almost like a golden long blonde hair with a golden thing around the head around there. And it would have looked at, again, it would have looked at your memory set and would have used what you would have expected to have seen in those, from a being of that sort of level. Because sometimes just a ball of energy doesn't cut it with people. They're sometimes linking with and say, okay, what's going to drag their attention? Oh, okay. Or more importantly, what's going to not freak them out?
Right.
So
he was humanoid in shape, but there were no features, but he was literally just this beaming, pulsating light.
Yeah. And it's and sometimes the pulsating light looks like wings, because of the way it oscillates and
Right.
it reverberates.
Right.
Yeah. So that was one of the entities who was in the area working with your helpers to maintain a higher frequency around you, so that you can not be affected by the local area, which was quite low frequency around you. So they created a bubble around you to maintain your frequency level. It's very, very nice of them.
Awesome indeed, thanks.
Yeah. Right, and is there an indication towards your purpose in this life? Right. Okie dokie. Okay, well, this is almost a one-off return to Earth. You've done your bits and pieces on Earth apparently, and you've, as we said previously, you tend to hang around the 12th frequency level within the physical universe when you do incarnate, which is almost it's almost close to being not needing a physical form of any sort. But what's here? They're saying you're almost being an anchor or a beacon to bring in higher frequency energies to help out with creating this overall base frequency that is going to lift. So that's your singular. Well, it's not your only role. That's your bigger role, as it were, which is quite passive. You just being here is good enough at the moment to do this, and you find yourself drawn to different parts of the country or the world, and you have a feeling of sometimes you feel energies pulsing through your palms of your hands, or tingling in the palms of your hands, and sometimes elsewhere within your body as well. But you're one of these individuals who travels and just goes to really interesting places, and the energy sort of goes. You're like a lightning rod. The energy goes through and just goes into the ground and sort of recharges the ley lines and keeps things at a higher frequency, always increasing the base level of frequency within the Earth right now. I'm getting the feeling there's much more to this, though. It's almost like you could teach people to do it, should you decide to do so. Also picking up that you could transmute energies to change the molecular structure of different materials, if and when it became appropriate for you to do so. You're also going to do your own healing as well. It's almost like when you're becoming more aware, you'll tap into a different energy set, which is going to become available to us, a higher frequency energy set, and you'll start to realise that this can be used in the healing process. And so I'm seeing you within the next 4 or 5 to 10 years, depending upon how things happen around you. It's almost like developing your own healing modality, and using that as well to heal people. And there'll be an extension from that to heal the earth as well. Have you heard of vortex healing, by the way?
Not vortex healing.
Yeah. The reason why I've asked this question is because it's almost like there's a mainstream piece of work with it, and then there's like little satellites that come up it. And what I'm picking up here is that you will have this mainstream piece of work that you'll be able to do, and then you'll start to develop little satellite modalities of it that can be explained, and people can specialise in these other modalities. That they'll rather than doing everything, they might say, well, I prefer to do this, this, and this, or the mainstream one and two others, or depending upon what they want to work with. And it's almost like you'll be able to over your period of time, you'll be starting to receive this information and work with it. You'll be able to itemise it and log down the differences in how it works, and how you can teach people to do these different things based upon the mainstream learning that you'll get in the mainstream healing activity. I'm also seeing quite an ability to heal deep-rooted problems as well. I don't know if you're into healing at all, but this yeah. But this is like you'll be able to go in and sort of almost change DNA structures in organs and things. If people have got cancers, change the protein functions or the stem cell functions to turn off the proliferation of the cancers so that they naturally die. You'll also be able to look at the psycho-spiritual aspect of why certain diseases are created in the physical form based upon energetic dysfunction, and change and affect those as well. But I'm also being shown that you won't specifically limit yourself to human beings. You can also do it on animals and plants, of course the planet as well, which is part of the sort of holistic functionality that you'll start to use with it. You're definitely going to develop, based upon what you can do now, a new healing modality and satellite modalities and you'll teach it and spread it, and it'll be useful. In fact, the words worldwide, you'll spread it worldwide, have come into my mind. Okay. Any questions on this, Daniel?
No questions. No questions.
Is there anything linking with your own experience?
Yes, completely. Okay. I mean, I left my job, probably my office job, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago now, to pursue the career of life coach.
Yeah.
Which is, and I've always tried to put across to people the idea that if you think something long enough, you start feeding the feelings that's attached to the thought.
Yeah, manifesting. Yeah.
Yeah. If you can give some more conscious thought to the thoughts you have, you place yourself in a position of power, self-empowerment, and that has literally been a drive of mine. So I've kind of been stifled for the past 3 years, I guess 4 years, maybe even longer. But you correctly identify that things are happening now, not only, as you point out, on that side, but physically around me as well. I seem to be connecting to the right people, and these synchronicities have really been taken up the past 4 weeks, even down to having this conversation with you now.
Yeah. There's more to come. As you become higher frequency, you'll start to perceive more things, and things will start to come into the peripheral vision of your physical eye as well.
Yeah.
So you'll start to experience these as well.
I for what it's worth, I've been able to see auras since I was like 3 years old. And after a session with Gar, I was actually able to see how the energy of the plants in my front room exchange and give energy. I could see it all. It was quite fun.
It's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah, I've identified the giver and the receiver, the main antenna of all the plants and how they're all interconnected. It's great.
Fantastic, fantastic. Talking of which, you're probably aware there's a certain level of purity with plants that there isn't with a human being, even not with an animal, because animals can be, shall we say, manipulated by human beings to some extent, although they are much more pure energy in terms of their innocence, not in terms of the quality of being what they are. But what I'm seeing here is that what you can do is that you can look at plants and use the plants for healing as well. What I'm being given here is that you can, for certain individuals, you can work out what plants they need, and you can position them in the centre of a room, for instance, and the plants surround them in a circle, and the plants will then feed in energy into that person under your orchestration to help heal them.
That's very interesting. My partner's always maintained I've been probably a bit too particular about the placement of the plants. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I know the position when they get there. Yeah.
And it's to do with this there's almost like a triangulation effect happens between you and the plants, and the plants and somebody who comes into the room and needs healing. So you might find that if you've got friends or who come into the rooms, they will leave healed in some way, shape or form, depending upon what's wrong with them and where they're sitting, and the energetic link up between, the subconscious energetic link up between you, the plants, and them. So you can look at this and make a few notes, because it's something you might write a book on. Yeah, using different plants. I've also seen you travel to a number of different far-off places, like rainforests or Peru, Madagascar, deep into the outback of Australia, around the base of the Everest in the Himalayas, even scuba diving, getting certain seaweeds, because you'll be collecting examples of different plants that will do certain healing things that aren't specifically available, off the shelf, so to speak. You can't go to a nursery to get them, and you'll find that you can use these things. I mean, the seaweed, for instance, you can put in a bath of salt, salt water, in a fish tank, for instance, with salt water, and that seaweed will do the same thing as the other plants, but in the way it's attributable to its own energies. But again, you'll be going to different places where you'll be getting plants that will need to have special environments to live in. So I'm almost seeing, I'm seeing you with a specific therapy room. It's almost like you're going to have a clinic with different types of therapies based upon the different modalities you're going to be working with and creating. And one of those will be a room where there's all these different plants from different parts of the world, and they couldn't possibly live in the atmosphere or the environment or the soils that are native to where your house is, for instance, or where this consultancy is. But you'll have created like a little micro environment for them, and they'll be dotted around in various places, and you'll be able to move them around on casters and wheels, and they'll be working and existing and thriving, but only because you've got this sealed environment for them to work in. But in doing that sealed environment, you'll be able to bring them here, and they'll be able to work with the patients that you bring in, and you start orchestrating the energies of those plants for the benefit of the healing as well. It's going to be quite a radical move, those, actually. And what I'm seeing here is that you'll be able to see the connectivity between the patient and the plants and yourself, almost like a series of laser beams. Yeah, not quite there, but it'll be etheric beams, so to speak. Yeah. And you'll be able to ask the plants to move energies in certain ways and focus on certain parts of the bodies as well, to affect certain healing on them. And also give up parts of themselves, because there's obviously there's teas that you could make.
Right. Yeah.
Some parts of these, you can create an infusion, and the patient could use this infusion almost like a tea or a homeopathic for moving forward as well. Okay. What I'm being told to tell you is that everything you do now, you should write down. Even if it's automatic stuff, I just do it. Write down what you just do.
I've received the message. I literally have a pad next to me with a pen inside. Okay. It comes the past week or two, and I've mentioned this to my partner. I said, I'm literally going to start writing down everything.
Yeah.
So thank you for the
Yeah. And very quickly put it into a word processing format, so you can manipulate it and copy and paste, cut and paste it, and create chapters or headings for the different things that you're doing. And you could then use that as the format for a lesson plan or a book or whatever you want to do. Like, you can, or a correspondence course, for instance, you can do the same thing that way. But primarily first to log and understand everything that you're currently doing and what you will be doing, because obviously you're going to be, now things are going to start to become faster and faster and faster available to you in higher frequency work, and things will start to come into place that you didn't even think that you could do previously, that you'll be able to do later, because you'll be exposed to higher frequencies, and therefore higher functionality will come out of it as well. Okay, what else have we got? Right, what I've also picked up here is at some point it'll get far too big for you as an individual, and you'll start to teach people clearly, and you could, if you wish to do this under strict guidance, create a franchise, so people would be teaching or healing in the way you've taught them. But it would be like a franchise, so that even if they're out there doing the healing and stuff, you would get some compensation from them, for instance, and so it would help you set up a foundation or something if you wanted to continue the work. What I'm getting here is that you'll be the first to do this, but there'll be others who will link into you very quickly once you've got it all sorted out. It's almost like you're the Rosetta Stone, the keystone that starts to awaken people for this particular healing modality. Okay. Okay, they're saying just be in the flow, be in the moment. Don't try too hard to second guess what's going to come next. We've got everything in place. We want you to concentrate on things as they come through, and not think about the end goal being too big to achieve. They're saying just as it comes, do it. As it comes, do it. It'll be hard work, but you know that. But the benefits to others will be fantastic. And they're saying that, of course, you'll be compensated as well. So you've got to live here. You've got to live here. So we'll make sure that happens as well. But it's saying that just as it happens, you've got your they're saying you've got your net book, not your rather than a writing book. So you've got your net book. Just type it in and away you go. And, so we're going to give you more and more over the next few years, but it'll come. Each one will be a link onto the next one, so it's going to be like a linear progression. Sometimes it'll be two things happening at the same time, but they'll be linking off on the first one. It could spread out a bit, almost. In some instances, it'll spread fractally, and then it'll get a bit hard work. But then they'll sort of let things settle down a bit, so that you can catch up with yourself, and then they'll move on a bit further forwards. Okay, let's check where we are time-wise. Okay, we've got about 5 minutes. Do you have any further questions on this, or is it anything that's come out that's...
Well, is there a message for anybody close to me that has struggled to come through that maybe I can deliver? Maybe regards to my parents or siblings.
You've had somebody who's departed recently. Yeah, the person is currently getting a grip of being disincarnate. Okay. Yes, it just I don't know if this rings true with you, but basically this entity, this person who hasn't quite got the energy to break through down the frequencies, yeah, and it's having difficulty in communicating, but and it's also still getting used to being disincarnate. But I've got a message for you from them, and it basically says what you should do is meditate upon them in a single-minded fashion and project your energies and your consciousness towards them, and that will bridge the gap. And then you'll be able to communicate with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually not getting an identity for you. Although it appears to be, it's had a lot of experience, let's put it that way. It's had a lot of experience, but it doesn't mean the fact that when we depart, it's difficult. But it's saying just focus on me, and you can bridge the gap between me and you. Basically, what I'm seeing here is it's almost like think of the frequencies as spheres. It's a couple of spheres. The lowest it can get is a couple of spheres above us, and it can't break that. Get further down. So it's asking for you to. It says now you can move upwards. Now you can project your consciousness upwards. Now you've got your third eye more awake. So don't strain this. He said, but you can project upwards, and you can bridge the gap between the two, and you can talk to it. It's keeping its identity very, very close. I'm saying he was a disincarnate member of the family, but I'm not really sure, to be honest. It's like it's associated with you, but it's almost like its identity. It's got the identity that's there is just it's gone. It's just a being now, and it's saying it's not important anymore. So I've got rid of it. But I'm still having trouble getting over this bit about being incarnate, because I'm having to remember stuff and work with it, and I'm not, okay, it's in two, right, what it's saying is I'm stuck in an area where it can't come down low enough to communicate with you, because it can't. That's a law of metaphysics, as it were. But it can't go further on yet, because it hasn't overcome certain reintegration conditions, and so it's staying in a certain frequency band, which is not specifically physical, but it's not totally energetic yet, and it's having to work with that. But it's very sort of, it's almost got zero identity from what I'm picking up here. But it does know, it does know you, and it does know your partner. What I'm basically saying is that, let's have a look at this message. Right. It's saying that what I can get from here is that things are going to get, for the average person, weird. Okay? But just hang on in there, because weirdness becomes normality at some point. And it's only weird for the average person, it's not weird for you. But it's a case of, things, there are going to be some strange things happening around the house. Things that you might classify as poltergeist activity. Okay? So just hang on in there, and you can communicate with it if you wanted to. There's no problem there. But just things like switches being turned off, things being moved around in the house, telephones being turned on when you knew they were turned off, TV being turned on when you knew it was turned off. Things like that will happen or have happened. And even things appearing out the corner of your eye. Where's that come from? It's not there. Or if you've got any animals, they'll start looking at things. So that's the thing to look out for. But I'm being told you could both communicate with it if you wished. You could link together in a meditative meta-concert, both sitting down meditating and both concentrating on the communication with it, and it'll communicate with you both, either clairvoyantly, clairaudiently, clairsentiently, or with emotional content, or heat, or tingling, or shivers, that sort of stuff. Okay.
Is there a greater purpose to those occurrences, like TVs and the movements, stuff like this?
It's just attracting your attention.
I see.
That's what it is. It's attracting your attention. It's just saying, I'm here, and this is about all I can do with stuff. That's hard work. So so you just sit down and meditate, and it'll and actually you can help it progress. You can help it move on if you wished, or if you struggle with that, you can ask me to help you as well, and I can help it move on. But it's right now. You can communicate with it if you wished, and it will give you information. So we did say we were going to get a message, didn't we? Yeah, just about that. It's just saying, don't get freaked out sometimes. Don't get freaked out sometimes.
I might be able to do that relatively easily. Speaking for my partner, though.
Okay. So don't get freaked out sometimes. Just consider it. Just think of it as being that there's a set of frequencies in the world that we just can't see. Just like we can't see X-rays, or we can't see heat image, thermal images without a thermal imaging camera. So just think of it in those terms. Think of it in terms of it's just a different frequency level, and therefore we can't touch it or see it properly because our eyes are very limited and our sentience is very limited here. But the physical universe is not mostly black but with dots of stars, it's mostly full. And if you could see what's around your house right now, you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
So don't get freaked out by it. Just sit down and meditate on it and communicate. It's helping you. It's what I'm being told to do. It's there to draw your attention to these things. It's to help your partner become aware that there's more out there. There's a greater reality out there, and because you're going to progress as well, quite well and quite quickly, there will be things that you do that will start to be a bit bizarre as well, with the healing side of things and with the plants and things. For instance, you might see the plants visibly start to wave backwards and forwards when you're working with them, for instance, or the leaves shimmering a little bit. You might start to see that as well. Okay. Yeah. Keep your eyes and ears open.
Yeah.
Let me know how it gets on.
For sure, definitely. I'll be in contact again.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, my friends. Well, what I'll do is I'll send you this recording later on this evening. I've actually got other things I've got to do. I've got to do another reading later on as well. But before midnight, I should have sent it to you, so it should be no problem at all.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Fantastic.
It'll be an AMR file which plays straight away on Apple QuickTime, straight away on iTunes. Windows Media Player generally plays it as well, but I've had the odd hiccup with certain people's computers, depending on their age, I suppose. And the file that I send through explaining what a multiverse is, it's a PDF file of a PowerPoint presentation I'll give to people sometimes in lectures.
Okay. Well, your book came today.
Hey, that's the first one.
Yeah, they're giving a good read.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into that. I saw your chapter content. Fascinating. Can't wait.
Yeah, fantastic. And thank you very much for asking me to read for you, and thank you for buying the book as well.
Yeah, no problem.
Enjoy.
My pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
Thank you. And do keep in contact. If you have any questions afterwards, just ping me an email. That's an easy thing to do. Okay.
All right.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you. See you later.
See you later.
Okay. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.